Marie Antoinette wasn't just executed, she was broken long before the blade fell. What they did to her in those final 72 hours is something history books refuse to print. They said, let her eat cake. But in her final 72 hours, she didn't even have bread. What they did instead will make you question who the real monsters were. History tells us Marie Antoinette was executed swiftly by guillotine, but what it doesn't tell you is what happened before that blade fell. For 72 hours, she was stripped of everything, her dignity, her humanity, even her name. This is not the fairy tale queen you learned about. This is the forgotten torment of Marie Antoinette. Behind those postcards and perfume bottles lies a truth so cruel, France tried to erase it. By October 1793, Marie Antoinette was no longer a queen. The woman who once ruled Versailles now sat in a filthy rat-infested cell known simply as La Conciergerie. Her only companion, a single flickering candle and the echo of her guards' laughter. They called her prisoner number 280.
No titles. No privileges.
Her bed, a straw mattress crawling with lice. Her food, scraps of bread. Even her morning water was shared with the rats. The revolution wasn't just about killing the monarchy, it was about unmaking it, piece by piece. In those final days, torture wasn't physical, it was psychological. The guards mocked her fallen beauty, made her dress before them, and recited the names of her dead friends for sport. Her husband Louis XVI was gone. Her children taken. Her son, the young Dauphin, was being brainwashed to curse her name. They broke her with silence, and with sound. Drums from the square below never stopped, a cruel reminder of what waited outside. After 76 days in isolation, they dragged her to trial. The charges? Treason. Immorality. Even incest. Accusations so grotesque, the audience gasped. She stood there, pale and thin, dressed in widow's black. No lawyer dared defend her. Her only words were simple, I appeal to all mothers. But compassion had no place in the revolution. The verdict was sealed before she ever spoke. On the night of October 15th, Marie was told she would die at dawn. No priest to comfort her, no daughter to hold. Her only light came from a broken window and a single candle that refused to go out. She wrote her final letter to her sister-in-law, Madame Elizabeth. It was calm, almost angelic. No hatred, no plea for mercy. Just forgiveness. I forgive my enemies. I die in the Catholic and Apostolic faith, and I hope that my children will never forget the good God. At dawn, guards entered her cell. They cut her hair short, not out of respect, but to make the blade cleaner. Her hands were tied tightly behind her back, her white chemise stained with prison dirt. Instead of a closed carriage like her husband's, they forced her to ride in an open cart, through the screaming mob. They spat, threw mud, shouted death to the Austrian. But witnesses said she held her head higher than any queen ever did. The true torture was not the blade, it was the march. 2 hours under the gaze of thousands, every insult, every drumbeat designed to break her spirit. Yet she never wept. In those moments, witnesses wrote she looked almost peaceful. Like a marble statue, one said. When she stumbled, she turned to the executioner and said quietly, "Pardon me, sir, I did not do it on purpose." Her last words, grace under horror. When the blade fell, France roared. But the roar quickly faded. For many, it felt like the revolution had killed its own mother. Even her enemies whispered, "She died like a queen." Today, few know that beneath those stones once stood the blood of a woman who refused to beg. Her body was thrown into an unmarked grave, no ceremony, no coffin. Yet, years later, when peace returned, her remains were exhumed and buried beside her husband at St. Denis. Marie Antoinette was never the monster pamphlets painted her to be. She was a woman caught in the hurricane of history, punished not for her crimes, but for what she symbolized. Before her death, she lost everything, but in that loss, she found immortality. And that is the hidden torture of Marie Antoinette. Subscribe for more untold stories that history tried to silence.